Om Shanti. It's amazing how Baba creates such an incredible balance in our life. And everything that he does supports that balance. And if we don't have the balance, we pay the price of it. I've really found over the years in my own journey how just really understanding how Baba operates and taking the fullness of that has helped to create a very healthy journey. I think our spiritual journey has to be a very healthy journey. Because if we don't stay healthy in our spiritual journey, we're spending a lot of time in repair work. Isn't it? Our time is so critical at this moment. We have to achieve a lot in a very short time. But if my time is going in that space of fixing the things that has to be done, then it's a lot of waste of precious time. And so in this journey, I have found how Baba, just through his daily timetable, has helped me create such a lovely balance. I think one of the things that Baba does is he teaches us how to anchor ourselves. Once we anchored, we can play. But if we're not anchored, our playing can be very distracting and it can take us away from what's very essential. And so the first aspect I find that is very, very beautiful that Baba teaches us is just our daily timetable. I think sometimes we think, okay, in this journey things are getting too serious, I need to stay light about certain things. But the lightness is a product. And when I understand that lightness is a product of an investment, then I experience the gift of lightness. So, for example, I find that in my daily timetable, when I really just give importance to powerful Amrit Vela, it will echo through my day. I'm sure for many of us, our Amrit Vela has really been that foundation. But if I really have the aim to meet Baba very powerfully at Amrit Vela, and not just tick off that I had Amrit Vela, because we're missing out something then. It's not about just having Amrit Vela, but many things can happen. I remember many years ago, Daddy Janki had taught me something which has been so grateful. I've been so grateful about it in my life. When I just come to Baba, I didn't really receive the cooperation of my Lokik family. And the word that came out of my mouth when I was talking to Daddy was that there must be some karmic bondage there. And she just said to me very quickly, it's like she closed my mouth. She said, don't say you got karma. Because if you say you have karma, you invite the karma. And that was my first lesson. Sometimes we use this language casually. Oh, I have such an intense karmic bondage, either with the body or with the relationships. But it's like if you give something power, it starts living you. So when I use my choice of words, it's incredibly important. And I remember when she shared, when I was about to say to her, Daddy, and she closed my mouth and she said, you don't have karmic bondage. And I said, I do. She said, you don't. And she just said, meet Baba every day at Amrit Vela, and Baba will take care of the rest. And that's what I did. Even though I couldn't go near a center, even though I couldn't do many things that could be a regular journey, daily routine of a Brahmin, I was there. I was in front of Baba every morning. And I just found how in a very short period of time, it was with royalty and dignity that whatever had to finish, finished. It didn't take long. It's like when I make that Amrit Vela powerful, Baba helps me take care of my karma. And so, just that first learning experience of how when the soul is able to go and take the power of that early morning hours, the rest takes care of itself. And so it echoes then the lightness. It's like when I'm powerful, I can stay light. Sometimes people use the word powerful and everyone around them feels so stressed because they look so stressed. But that's not powerful. When somebody is genuinely powerful, they're relaxed, they're light. If my vibration is creating stress somewhere out there, I need to check. Because that powerful moment needs to create a very light frequency. Anything that is powerful has a light frequency. So if I'm measuring my powerful energy, it has to match up to a light frequency. And so just that whole aspect of these days are few. Baba is so available. And how much do I take the power during that time? And so just that first aspect of the basic dharana that Baba has shared with the child, do I keep to it? The powerful Amrit Vela, the powerful time of study. And do I really let God open my intellect for me during the Murli time? Again, it is the clarity of knowledge that brings lightness to the soul. How much do I really go into the depth of the knowledge? The deeper you go, the freer you are. When there is not that clarity of the knowledge, then the soul gets locked in limitation. Every aspect that Baba shares with us in the Murli really is there to set me free. It's there to make me secure. The whole aspect about security these days is so deep. If you even look at the world out there, the greatest investments is in risk management and security, isn't it? The booming industries are insurance and security. Because it's saying something about our inner state of consciousness. When the soul is naturally secure, I find for me two things help me create that security. Baba's drishti and the depth of knowledge. How often can I just really look into Baba's eyes and feel from Baba, I know you. I've recognized you. And there's a very beautiful Hindi song, Tu Wohi Hai. You are that same one. And when I look into that drishti of Baba, again the soul feels secure. It's like a child. When the child has recognized the parent and sees the parent, then the child is free, isn't it? The child can play, the child can relax, because the child knows that the parent is close by. And so how much do I let Baba's drishti anchor me? Anchor me into truth. Because when the soul is then anchored into truth, it is free. So Baba's drishti and the depth of knowledge. And when I go into that depth of knowledge, let me churn the knowledge in such a way that it provides such deep insights to the soul. Let me not just do it as I've heard the Murli, I've churned it. Even the word churning has become a ritual in many lives. And it's not. It's like when you really spin something, it takes off. Isn't it? So, do I churn this knowledge in such a way that it sets me free? And it's beautiful. It's really beautiful. That the deeper I go, the freer I become. If something is holding me, it's because I haven't understood it. Think about anything in your life's journey that is holding you. There's something in there that I haven't taken enough time to understand. But once I understand it, I'm free. How much do I really use Baba's systems to release the soul? So, if you look at the whole day's timetable of Amrit Vela, Murli, pure food, journaling, or your chart, evening yoga, just very essential energies that Baba introduces me to every day. How much does the soul journal? Because you need to digest. Whether you call it a chart or whether you are doing deep journal work, whatever it is that you may be doing. But only when you digest can you feel light. Even like food, isn't it? When your food is not digested, how do you feel? Uncomfortable. And so much comes along our way on a daily basis, but how much do I digest it? And we need that silence to digest. The soul needs silence to go in. And silence doesn't mean that I'm just quiet somewhere. Silence is when I'm providing myself with nourished moments of stillness. How much is my stillness a nourished moment? It must be very natural. When the soul is nourished in its silence, souls around it feels the comfort. Even sometimes souls say, I'm silent today, and you're not sure about that silence, like it's a bit stiff, it's a bit intense. But when a soul is genuinely nourished in that silence, people around them feel comforted in their hearts. Because it's a safe silence. It's a pure silence. It's a silence that's filled with deep, deep stillness and recognition. It's a silence that's filled with purity. And if the silence is filled with purity, it creates a very safe feeling. It creates an innocence of being. And when there's that innocence of being, the soul is naturally light. And so, there's more and more within the day to be able to see how much the soul has journeyed with that feeling of just Baba's daily timetable. When I'm anchored, I can play. That's the first aspect. But if I'm not anchored and I try to play, the soul gets distracted. And it takes a lot of energy. These aspects that Baba introduces in our daily timetable is really to deepen the purity of the soul. And the more and more the soul is experiencing that purity, the more it becomes a child. There's an innocence of being. There's a clarity of being. There's a depth of being. And that keeps the soul free. So to really look at that space and really to reflect in my day, especially after we've come to Baba for a while, to see that I am an awakened Brahmin daily, that I'm awake. How much is my Brahmin life fresh? We need freshness. The more and more we stay fresh in our Brahmin life, there's a lightness. Anything that's stale gets heavy. Isn't it? Yeah. And so, to clear out and clean out and stay fresh within that energy. The second aspect that I find that has helped me tremendously is the whole aspect of wastage. To really look deep within the soul and ask the self, where is there wastage? Because if there is wastage, I cannot become light. Because wastage creates a burden. There can be gross burden on the soul. There can be subtle burden of the soul. And that comes from that feeling of wastage. I've really appreciated Baba's 69 Murli, which I look at very often, where Baba spoke a Murli on honesty. I'm sure you remember that Murli in the 69 book. It's on honesty. And Baba goes into honesty in such depth. But one of the things that Baba shares about honesty is that an honest soul will use everything in a worthwhile way. So honesty is just not just speaking the truth, but honesty is that whatever I have in my life, am I making it worthwhile? If you've made something worthwhile, if you've given it your best, if you've stayed true to it, then the soul can feel light. If I've wasted, my intellect will be pulled to it again and again. Then I can't be free. Baba often in the Murli talks about body, mind, and wealth. And these are energies. And if I invest the energy in the right place, it will support my journey. If I waste that energy, it burdens my journey. So really to ask the self again very deeply, where is there a wastage? So that for me is always my second checking point. My first checking point in my journey is the daily timetable. How much have I taken that journey and made it fresh every day? And the second aspect is wastage. So to check, where is the wastage coming from? Sometimes our wastage is not so obvious. It may be a lot more subtle. I may look into my day and say, well, I've used my day properly. I don't waste the things that I have. I'm quite resourceful with the things I do. But the wastage could be on a more subtle level. And that subtle level could be, for example, the soul is still having an inertia. Time is calling for that moment, for the next step. But there's still an inertia within the soul. It's holding back. It's holding back something. Maybe it's out of fear, or maybe it's out of sorrow. So time is pulling, the drama is pulling, the signs are clear, but I'm holding back. And I have to ask myself, what is it that's holding the soul back? Is there a residue of some sorrow? Is there a residue of fear? Is there some impurity within the soul? It can be just one thing. You may be a very good person, but there's one weakness which is your quiet companion throughout your whole Brahman life. You know? And this quiet companion slowly still seeps away your best of intentions. So it creates an inertia. It's like I want to go forward, but that one thing is holding me back. And so I need to see very deeply along my journey, what is that one aspect? In 99 things, we may have enthusiasm, we may have the courage, we may have the honesty, and we are willing to take on that challenge. But there's this one account. Either it's with an individual, either it's with money, either it's with your body, it's there somewhere. And that quiet, weak companion is like holding the string behind you. And so you delay in what you have to do, or you don't take that enthusiastic step. You can create very valid reasons why this next step cannot happen. But Madhuban is probably a very good place to see where's the moment of inertia. What's holding me back? I want to do this and I move back. What's that one thing? And it may not be gross at all. In the eyes of the family, in the eyes of even my own journey, it may still look like the soul is progressing well. But is it meeting the need of the moment? Am I rising up to the occasion of the present need of time? And so that level of wastage, where the soul is delaying time, the soul is holding itself back, it has to look, it has to see what sorrow is there, which is no longer serving me, and it has to go. I have to look deep inside and say, that one thing that I'm holding on to, maybe very quietly, maybe very cleverly, maybe very royally, but it's not serving me anymore. So if it's not serving me, it has to go. And when the soul has the courage to be honest enough and look at that aspect, the soul can just be free. Because whether it's fear, whether it's worry, whether it's sorrow or guilt, this energy of guilt is a very, very deep one. It really takes you away from your kingdom. You know, many years ago, I'm sure you may have watched it too, the movie Lion King. Watch Lion King? Or you don't watch it? Well, I watched it, yeah? The Lion King. And little Simba was made to believe that he was the cause of his father's death. Yeah? The king. And so little Simba moved into a foreign kingdom. Pumbaa and all these wonderful characters. And they took care of him because he left his kingdom. And he was okay there. He was enjoying them. But he wasn't himself. He wasn't living to the potential of who he really is. Until Rafiki. Remember Rafiki? The monkey. Yeah. And so Rafiki saw Simba's blood and saw the blood that was the main memory of that kingdom. And he matched this two and he saw he belongs to that kingdom. And it's very powerful because Rafiki tells Simba, remember. And I thought, wow, this is all in the movie, yeah? So Rafiki tells to Simba, remember. Remember who you are. And when Simba was able to release the guilt, only then was he able to step back into his own kingdom. And when he stepped back into his own kingdom, not only did he benefit, but that barren kingdom that was starving, that was all in a state of total loss, was once again rejuvenated when Simba arrived home. And that's our story. You know, we can be in a comfort zone of a beautiful experience, but it may not be my full potential. And so Simba was okay with all these wonderful characters and they played nicely, but he was not in his kingdom. And so it's a waste of who you are. And so our guilt, all these things that are petty to my being may still be there. But the soul has to release it now. That which is not serving me has to go. And only I know what's not serving me now. Something may have been good enough for a long time, but everything has a season. You know, you may have a very wonderful warm jacket and it's serving you now. But maybe when you get back to your country, it's summer. Isn't it? So the jacket is a good jacket, but the season has changed. So what is the season of the present time? And what is the need of the present time? And am I responding to those needs? And when the soul can respond to those needs, then it's free. It's like when you can offer what is needed in that moment, then there are no more extra thoughts. You know, I always remind myself that when I need to do something in my life, let me do it with sincerity and let me do it with that honesty so that I don't have to look back, because that's what takes time. And so this journey of not being able to be free of that level of wastage, and ask myself, what is what I have, what is it feeding? And when the soul can come back to its essence, then it can let go. The third aspect I find that helps the soul to stay light and free is to realize that absolutely no scene in the drama, no human being dictates my fortune. Sometimes the soul gets heavy because it is trying to redirect the drama. Yeah? You cannot redirect your drama. You can just play your part in the drama. And when you play your part well, then you're free. I don't have to prove anything to anyone. I just have to live powerfully. And drama will look after you. I have really found in my life that the soul never had to ask, and the soul never had to demand, and the soul didn't have to assert itself. Assertion is still a form of force, which is a sign of Hatha Yogi. A Raj Yogi claims its right. It doesn't force its rights. So anything in my journey that's still out of force, I need to ask myself, why am I trying to force this? Do I want to force it to feed my own insecurities? Am I forcing this because I'm still not so comfortable in who I am? Drama and Baba will never deprive me of what I deserve as long as I stay present. As long as I stay awake, as long as I stay present, as long as I do what I need to do with the genuineness of my being, drama and Baba will never deprive me of anything. Nothing. And then the soul can be light. You know, we just really have to invest in our stage, and we have to invest in our connection with Baba. Your fortune is not just open to your position. Your fortune is not open through your connections. Your fortune is not open through who's who. Your fortune is open through who you are. And if I can really take that time and that opportunity to be very gently and powerfully secured in who I am, then the soul is naturally secured. I have really looked into my own life, and I thank Baba and Brahma. This soul has never been deprived of any opportunity. Baba and Brahma has really looked after me. If I look at my whole Brahmin life, I've never been deprived. There was never a time when I wanted it any other way. And Baba and Brahma has looked after me. But I ask nothing of Baba and Brahma. I just enjoy like a child. And really the opportunities come. You don't have to ask for them. They come to you. I have in this Brahmin life been surrounded by such good people. You don't have to go search for them. It's like Baba and Rama provides you with that energy. But for that, it's like you have to stay anchored. Don't go out into the expansion. Stay to the essence. Because if you stay to the essence, you can play 360 degrees. But if you move to one side, you lose out on every other side. You know, life is not about the obvious. Don't get distracted by the obvious. Life is about the powerful. And sometimes that which is obvious can distract you. You think, oh, it should be like this, or it should be, oh, fortune is created like that. Fortune is created through your incognito, quiet, powerful commitment to your journey with God. Bhagwan se bhagya kholta hai. It is with that connection with God that your fortune opens. So when the soul is able to stay clear in that way, and really we need to not get busy. It's the busyness. Busyness is, the other day we were talking about Sato Pradhan energy and Rajo Pradhan energy and Tamo Pradhan energy. And the reality is that busyness is part of Tamo Pradhan energy. In this life we can be very proactive, and we can activate a lot of good energies, but we don't have to be busy, because busyness stops you from doing the real work. A lot of time many souls are very busy, but they're not doing the real work. And so when the soul is able to stop that busyness and come into a stillness and then start doing the real work, then the soul is able to achieve what it needs to. And there's a lot available to the soul in that way. But let me not get caught up. I get caught up in that external level, then I may be ticking off all the boxes that looks like, oh, she's such a good Brahmin. Wow, she's got the shawl in the right place and everything. And you maybe totally miss the point. And it's so important that in these precious moments of the confluence age, I don't get distracted where the real journey is. There's the obvious journey and there's the powerful journey. And Madhuban provides us with that clarity to come back to that space which is powerful. That journey is directed by Baba's Drishti. That journey is directed by purity. That journey is directed by divine interactions. that journey is directed by pure karma. Not just service projects, pure karma. Big difference. That journey is directed by honesty. When all those energies are in place, the soul's journey becomes powerful. And then the soul becomes light. Because anything that turns powerful, the frequency raises itself. And the more higher the frequency, the lighter the frequency. And so just to be able to enjoy the fullness of this time. If sorrow is still holding the soul, take this time in Madhuban to really let the surgeon do the work. Let it go. Don't hold on to it. It's not serving us anymore. It will keep me busy. Yeah? Sorrow can keep you very busy. Yeah? But it's not going to get you free. And even if the noise of the mind is loud and you want to be heard, just go and sit in front of Baba or keep writing, but get it out. Just let it go out. And it's amazing what can happen out of that. The more we release the sorrow, the more the purity of the soul increases. There's a big connection between sorrow and impurity. It was once Baba that shared that sorrow is born out of impurity. When the soul becomes pure, it has the capacity not to absorb sorrow. And then the soul can be light, and the soul can be free, and it can dance. No matter how much our journey may be a busy journey, never compromise relationships. Never. You may have achieved many tasks, but at the end of the day, it's the quality of our relationships that matters. I really take a lot of support from Dadi Ji. One of Dadi Ji's most beautiful dharnas, which has really been such a support to my life, is that respect first, task secondary. If I give respect first, genuinely, not nice, genuinely, yeah? When my respect is genuine, then the task will happen automatically. Because if I am not doing it in that manner, then the other soul's intellect is pulled by me. And if the other soul's intellect is pulled by me, the reality is I can't have yoga. If somebody's intellect is pulled by you, they're pulling you, you can't have yoga. We don't want that, right? So it's like so important that we invest in the quality of our relationships. And quality of relationships doesn't mean to please people. We're not here to please anybody. but we're here to serve them. And there's a big difference between being a pleaser and being a server. When we had our retreat a few days ago with the youth coordinators, there was a lovely letter that we got introduced to. One of our Madhuban Nivasis, Jamna Prasad Bhai, they call him JP Bhai, he was sharing a letter that he had received. And he was sharing a very beautiful story of how Baba in the Murli, at the bottom of the Murli, it's like sent out a vacancy. Huh? So he said, if there's any child that would like to come and do seva in Madhuban, they can apply. So JP Bhai lived very far away and was like 50 kilometers away also from the main area, city. And his father saw this in the Murli and thought it would be nice if his son goes. His eldest sister, she's a surrendered sister in Kanpur center. And so is the mother. So the whole family, a very serviceable family. So his father wrote to Baba. He was 16 years old at that time. And his father wrote to Baba and said, yes, my son can come. So the letter was such a powerful letter in which Baba wrote back to J.B. Bhai's father and said that with so much love, Baba's when Baba writes letters, it's so beautiful to the eyes, to the light of my eyes, and to all this beautiful elevated language. And then in the letter, Baba was very, very clear in saying that if the child is willing to do what is needed, he can come. The help is needed in the laundry area, and he can come and do that. But Baba also said very clearly that if Maya creates mischief with the child, he can be sent back home. Yeah? And as the brother was reading this letter to us in Baba's handwriting that Baba had sent, it was so clear that how Baba had this most beautiful transparency of being, where Baba was so full of love and respect, but clear, absolutely clear, so that there was nothing else that was room for discussion. And I was thinking, wow, Baba, you just know how to draw divine contracts. Yeah? And our brother is in Madhuban for all these years. He's the wonderful brother who takes care of the Murlis in Madhuban. He's got the store of all these Murlis that we don't get access to, but he has them. And so just remembering that letter, and I was thinking how, the quality of our relationships are so important, and how that sets the soul free. I really need to serve in my every relationship, but I do not necessarily have to please anyone. And when the soul is able to do that, the soul is able to keep the relationship deep, but equally enough, it's able to stay free in that relationship. And then the soul can remain light. And so I have to ask myself, how much in my relationships do I have an agenda? I have always appreciated, even with the people I live with the sisters I live with, we have very beautiful Gyan chit-chats. very meaningful, very nourishing Gyan chit-chats. And that's the basis of our relationship. The basis of our relationship is not task-driven. It's Gyan-driven. It's spirituality-driven. And when those kind of relationships are invested in, the soul can do a lot of deep things and be free. But if I'm task-driven and I compromise meaningful spiritual friendships, it's just a matter of time. I pay the price of them. Because our journey in this Brahman life is much, much more deeper than service projects, center life. All these things are on the surface, and they all have to be done, and they have to be done well, but not to forget what's deeper behind it. Our daddies were driven by bhavna. They were driven by love. They were driven by purity. They were driven by drishti. That's what made our daddies, isn't it? So, go deep, 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 and you can stay light, light, light. I remember once Baba had said to the soul that you are a happy soul and you always like to dance in happiness. I love to dance, yeah? But that you'll always dance in happiness. And if I think about it, the method to dance is, it's like even physically when you learn to dance, you have to master the steps. But once you master the steps, then you can free flow. But if you haven't mastered the steps, you can't enjoy the dance. You'll step on somebody's toes. Isn't it? So, even in our journey, when we master the steps within, then the soul can dance. The soul can be free. Daddy, for me this year, had shared 3 words which have helped me a lot. Satyata, Safaita, Saralta. That the soul needs 3 things: truth, cleanliness, and simplicity. If you looked around May, June, July, there were very deep themes in Daddy's sharings of this year, 2018. And I really took them on because I felt these were signals from our Daddy. Satyata, Safaita, Saralta. So stay truthful, keep it clean, and keep it simple. And when the soul is able to keep these 3 energies alive, to stay in its truth, and truth never has to be proven, truth never has to be asserted, truth only has to be lived. So when I live my truth and I keep it clean, where there's no other agenda, just declutter all those energies that are in the way. Declutter that emotional congestion that is stifling the soul. Declutter it, let it go. The cleanliness is of your emotional congestion. Ask yourself whilst you're in Madhuban, where's the emotional congestion? Creates a lot of discomfort. Any form of congestion creates a lot of discomfort. So to clear out that emotional congestion and then keep it simple, because truth is simple. Truth is deep, but truth is simple. We don't need too much to expand on truth. Okay. Any thoughts, anything you'd like to share? Anything you'd like to deepen, like to ask? Emotional congestion, yes. When you have emotional congestion, you become noisy. When somebody has physical congestion, they cough, they sneeze. um, Emotional congestion is when there's too much happening within the soul on the level of feelings and emotions. And so, in the spiritual journey, we have the original qualities of the soul that wants expression, because they are there. The peace and the love and the purity and the joy and the power, these want expression because they are who I am. But when there's emotional congestion, those qualities within the soul are getting stifled. So instead of the love, the attachment is creating that congestion. Instead of the peace, the anger is holding me. Instead of the power, the ego is stifling me. And those create feelings. So the anger creates certain feelings, the ego creates certain feelings, the attachment creates certain feelings, the sorrow creates certain feelings instead of the happiness. Now all of that is sitting within the soul. And until you don't release that, your immunity will always stay weak. So to develop the spiritual immunity of the soul, we need to detox. Yeah? Same way as we physically have to detox, we need to spiritually detox so that those energies are released. That congestion which is stopping that which is deep within the soul to express itself is what we have to work through. And that's why I find Madhuban is a good time to detox. Yeah? Just let it all go. To clear out the congestion. Because congestion makes you uncomfortable. Congestion makes you noisy. Congestion makes you stop using your full potential. Because you're just so occupied in your congestion. Yeah? Anything else? Yes. Yes. Detachment is a very nice energy. Detachment is not a cold energy. Detachment is a very clean energy. So for example, if I interact with somebody with the genuineness of my being, then I'm free from the outcomes. And that's the detachment. Doesn't mean I don't interact with the being. If I offer you my best from the sincerest part of my being, I do my best. How you then take it, I cannot control that. So the detachment is in the outcome. But if within myself, I am not so sure, I have mixture, then I'll be caught up in the outcome. And when I'm caught up in the outcome, I can't be detached. So for me, detachment is like every relationship has to be left with a clean residue, where there's no other things that are there. We get locked in wanting people to behave in a certain way. And we think, I've invested in this relationship, they should be like this with me, or they have to be like this with me. But nobody should and nobody have to. People change when they need to change. But let me not compromise, or let me not give what I have to give. Even it requires that level of patience. Dadi uses these 5 words, and I may mix the order a little, but I remember the first one and the last one very much, where she said our journey starts with purity, and then there's maturity, and then there's patience. I've definitely mixed something up here. But the last one is sweetness. And so when the soul starts with its purest agenda, the outcome of it has to be a sweetness. Sweetness is when there's no residue of a bitter feeling of the past. We often lose our detachment because we are too connected to the outcome. And so when I release the outcome, then I can enjoy the relationship. Even if somebody hasn't really managed to connect with me, let me keep my feelings good. I've really learned over the years that if you just stay true to yourself and true to that other individual with the genuineness of your heart, it's just a matter of time. Things change. They do change. It may not be a bang, bang, dramatic change, but it's a powerful change. But I have to keep my heart clean. It's not about them. At the end of the day, the journey is not about them. It's about the soul's journey and what's happening inside here. Yes, there was a hand there. Yeah, staying in the essence for me is just staying true to my journey. There can be so many things along the spiritual journey that can distract the soul and keep the soul very busy. And we're not doing the real work. And so, for example, I can be caught up. I can be a real Brahmin. But I'm still not doing the real work that the soul needs to be doing. So I get up every morning, I have my Amrit Vela, I'm in Murli class, I do everything quite well, but the soul is still caught up in others, and it's caught up in events, and it's caught up in external situations. And so it's holding its space, but its attention is out instead of its attention is in. And the out can keep you quite busy, but it's not serving you at all. So to stay in the essence means I ask myself the question very frankly, Dipti, is this moment serving you? If it's not serving me, I don't want to give it that energy. It may be entertaining me. It may be giving me something, but it's not serving me. If it's not serving me, then let me be kind to myself and say, I don't need it. And that for me is a frank way that I look into my own journey. I ask myself these questions quite regularly. Is this conversation serving you? Is this thing that you're involved in serving you? If it's not, then ask yourself, why are you there? Why are you there? What else are you looking for in this? Then it takes you away from the expansion to bring you back to what is essence for. Yes.
Just on the flip side, like if we get familiar with a person
Mm.
doesn't necessarily feel like a form of attachment. But is there some attachment that's buried within that familiarity?
Actually, yes. Um, but we can clean it out. Once somebody said very powerfully, which helped me many years ago in my own spiritual journey, that familiarity breeds contempt. Just a matter of time. So sometimes people in our life, they don't mean to be externally the relationship looks good and healthy, and that's fine. It's good to have healthy relationships, but I have to just see over a period of time in simple things. Do I have expectations from that soul? Do I take that soul for granted? Two simple things. Do I have expectations or I take them for granted? Because at some point, when that expectation is not met, or I have taken them for granted and things have changed now, and then it starts creating additional thoughts in me, then the relationship will begin to feel a strain. There'll be a strain in that relationship. Do not be afraid to love. Love is our nature. But always stay alert that we don't allow those expectations to grow. Especially the people you live with in your life. Ask yourself, do you ever take them for granted? Charity begins at home, right? So we have to see the people that we live with on a daily basis. I always allow myself to look at the people I live with every day, and I ask myself very honestly, do I see them with fresh vision? Is there a freshness in my vision for the souls I live with? Because if there's not a freshness in my vision with the souls I live with, I'm still seeing them with yesterday's vision. And they've changed today. And that then brings the familiarity. Because familiarity always has a relationship with the past. It grows with past journeys. But in love, the moment is now. There's a freshness. Okay? So don't be afraid to love. Love is very important. But we have to just constantly purify our love. Love is our life. We are born out of love. We are born out of Baba's loving drishti. So love is our life. So never ever be afraid to love. But stay awake on this journey, that it stays pure. Yes. Yes. Mm. Mm. Yeah. I think for me this aspect came up when one study, Janki radically said, busyness is born out of laziness. And I thought, okay. Yeah. So when there's that busyness, I'm not necessarily doing the real work. Okay? The soul can, when you are busy, so-called busy, sometimes there's an avoidance. And today we see in the world a lot that people keep themselves busy because they're avoiding something. Or avoiding a relationship or avoiding a situation. So they keep themselves very busy. And so we see that there's this level of you being occupied with something, but that occupied energy is not necessarily feeding your growth. Because we see today in the world, people are very busy, but equally enough, we see all the side effects of busyness. The side effects of busyness have just exponentially grown these days, where people's health is affected, people's relationships are affected. There's so many levels of side effects that have been created through a busy world out there. And so I find that when we are busy or proactive in that way, for me, the sign, and I find that that's why Baba's traffic controls are a beautiful indicator for me, is that when that song goes on, or on the hour when that music just comes out, can the intellect be free? Or that moment has helped me so much that in that minute when I'm trying to be free, I can't. If I can't, that situation is holding me. Whether it's in your kitchen, or whether it's in the office, or whether it's in a relationship, can in that moment, and Baba has such amazing ways to keep us free. And, let me not just do my 1 minute traffic control as it's a wonderful thing to do, but it really helps me to see, is my intellect free? So if you look at our dadis, if you even look at some of our senior souls, they are physically active. They are involved. They are engaged. They are proactive. But they also have the ability in that minute to stop. So I need to check, can I stop? Can my intellect be free? For me, that's the most simplest and the most honest way for me to check between busyness and stillness. If your intellect cannot let go, that means it's taken over you. Okay? So go deep and stay light and be free. And Madhuban is such a beautiful time to do all this work, Do your detox, cleanse out your emotional congestions, see what is that wastage, leakage point. Go really deep, and most beautifully, and the gift of the confluence age is Baba's Drishti. Spend a lot of time just letting God reveal so much to you through His Drishti. That's the gift of the confluence age. At no other time in the cycle will God look at you through those eyes. Will God talk to you through those eyes? And eyes never hide. Eyes can't hide. They always tell you the truth, whichever way. So Baba's eyes talk so much. So at the confluence age and at this time in Madhuban, take time to go to different places and have a meeting with those eyes. Sit there until something happens. Don't get up from there. Let those eyes talk to you. And they do deep surgery for you. And they'll reveal many things to you. And there's no other safer and more powerful place to do that than in Madhuban. Okay. Om Shanti.